स्क्रीन दिख रहा है प्रेम?
हाँ दिख रहा है, स्क्रीन दिख रहा है। मेरे पास कुछ स्लाइड्स हैं, मैं इनको शेयर कर सकता हूँ ना?
हाँ बिल्कुल शेयर कर सकते हैं। गुड आफ्टरनून एवरीबॉडी, नमस्ते। आज नॉलेरियंस के प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमारे साथ होंगे प्रेम प्रकाश पाठक, जो हमारे परम मित्र भी हैं, और हम लोगों का जो रूट है, इंस्टीट्यूशन हम लोग शेयर करते हैं। दोनों लोग CDRI से PhD हैं। और प्रेम आज बात करेंगे साइंटिफिक एंड वैदिक पर्सपेक्टिव टू लाइफ एंड पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। रिसेंटली प्रेम ने एक सर्वे किया था जिसके आधार पे एक बुक लिखा है जिसका नाम है द गोल्डन एक्स, अ पर्सपेक्टिव ऑन एजुकेशन इकोसिस्टम। ये किताब पे हम बाद में, मतलब अगले किसी सीरीज में बात करेंगे। आज का जो मुख्य चिंतन और वक्तव्य का विषय है वो है कि वैज्ञानिक और वैदिक दृष्टिकोण जीवन और जीवन के उद्देश्य के बारे में। प्रेम जो है एक पॉलीमर केमिस्ट हैं, गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट हैं मास्टर्स में, और PhD CDRI से किया है इन्होंने। मास्टर्स इनकी तेजपुर यूनिवर्सिटी से रही है। भक्ति वेदांत इंस्टीट्यूट से जुड़े रहे हैं, और वहाँ जो एक विशिष्ट ऐसे कंपटीशन हुआ था, और वो एक मीटिंग पॉइंट था मेरा और प्रेम का भी, क्योंकि प्रेम ने आज के, मुझे लगता है कि 10 वर्ष पहले मैं और प्रेम इस प्रोग्राम में गए थे, जहाँ पे हम लोगों को डॉक्टर माइकल क्रेमो से भी मिलने का मौका मिला था, और कई विशिष्ट लोगों से हमें मिलने का मौका मिला। और ये हुआ था मकर संक्रांति के अवसर पे, और हम लोग थे इलाहाबाद में उस समय। तो 10 साल से ऊपर का परिचय है मेरा प्रेम के साथ। और प्रेम की एक खासियत ये है कि ये इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी फॉर कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस से जुड़े हुए हैं, और एक ट्रेंड टीचर भी हैं भगवत गीता के। तो आज उनके द्वारा जो हम लोग सुनेंगे वो एक साइंटिफिक एज वेल एज द वैदिक पर्सपेक्टिव टू लाइफ इन द लाइट ऑफ साइंस एंड इन द लाइट ऑफ वेदास सुनेंगे। तो इसके पहले मैं प्रेम को आमंत्रित करूं, एक छोटी सी कविता से शुरुआत करना चाहूंगा कि रणभूमि या रंगभूमि हो जीवन, फैसला आपके हाथ है। निर्णय जो भी आपका हो, कृष्ण सदैव ही साथ है। कुरुक्षेत्र वृंदावन दोनों ही हैं अंतर्मन में, उसकी सत्ता उसकी ही ऊर्जा निहित है हर कण कण में। तो स्वागत है आपका प्रेम, अपने जो टॉक है साइंटिफिक एंड वैदिक पर्सपेक्टिव टू लाइफ एंड पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ। और अब यहाँ मैं स्क्रीन शेयर स्टॉप करूंगा, और प्रेम आप यू कैन टेक ओवर फ्रॉम हियर।
थैंक यू रंजित, थैंक यू वेरी मच। आपने मुझे बुलाया यहाँ पे, और 10 साल पहले मुझे मिले थे और डिस्कशन चालू हुआ था
जी।
सेकंड पार्ट होगा अभी।
जी, लेकिन इस 10 सालों में आप भी स्पिरिचुअलिटी में काफी ग्रो किया, और मैं भी रेंगता रहा हूँ यहाँ वहाँ। थोड़ी कोशिश रही है समझने की, तो एक अच्छा मौका है फिर से एक इंटरेक्शन का।
मैं अपना स्क्रीन शेयर करता हूँ एक बार। स्क्रीन शेयर ऑप्शन बीच में है ना?
हाँ हाँ, इस हरा वाला जो है।
आपको एनेबल करना पड़ेगा क्या?
हाँ, 1 मिनट, अब आप करिए, आप कर पाएंगे।
आपको दिख रहा है मेरा स्क्रीन?
बिल्कुल दिख रहा है, इसको फुल स्क्रीन कर दीजिए। हाँ
ठीक है।
हाँ बिल्कुल। अगर आपका कोई प्रश्न हो तो आप डायरेक्टली फेसबुक पे डाल सकते हैं। मैं लास्ट में प्रेम से वो सारे प्रश्न पूछूंगा अगर समय रहा तो।
सो थैंक यू वेरी मच। जैसे कि मैं इंग्लिश और हिंदी दोनों का प्रयोग करूंगा आज के इसमें। The topic is scientific and Vedic perspective on life and purpose of life. ये दोनों ही क्वेश्चन जो है काफी इम्पोर्टेंट है। एंड स्टार्टिंग में कहूँगा कि हैप्पी न्यू ईयर टू यू ऑल एंड वार्म वेलकम टू दिस टॉक। जो ईयर 2020 अभी पास हुआ है वो बाकी सालों से काफी भिन्न था। बेसिकली द चैलेंजेस पोज्ड बाय कोविड-19 एंड इसने क्या किया हमारे चेंज द वे वी लुक ऑन टू लाइफ एंड वी लुक ऑन टू एवरीथिंग दैट इज देयर। सो like many would forget this incidents and again start living the way they used to live before COVID-19 period. But for many, it has been a great change in the life. And like, for example, people have understood the importance of healthy immune system, and they have started doing some exercise and avoid junk foods and do some yoga practices. And like money is important part they understood, and it's not always good to invest in money and don't have any liquid money, so they understood we should have some liquid cash also in hand. So life has changed a lot and many have started to ask like हम जिंदा जिंदा क्यों हैं और जिंदगी का क्या मकसद होना चाहिए, what should the purpose of life. So in this talk, in the first part, the way I have to structure is that I will speak about scientific theories, and then I will connect with the Vedic perspective. Okay, and the scientific theory, the way I will talk on is not the very detailed one. It is I will just understood as a layman understand it. I will tell in that way, and we will touch upon only philosophical viewpoints so that everyone can understand. And we try to connect the scientific and Vedic perspective both to the life and purpose of life. So in the beginning, जब मैं क्लास शुरू करता हूँ इस तरह की, तो I start with some Sanskrit prayers. Many of you would be very familiar to those prayers, and many of you would be hearing for the first time. But please listen to it patiently, and let's start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitam Sam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिया. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So once again, welcome all to this talk on scientific and Vedic perspective on life and purpose of life. So in the beginning, just to set the floor, I will discuss about the characteristics of a scientific mind. And I will speak on this because just to focus that the Vedic perspective also scientific. And इससे क्या होगा कि the forum will become easier to understand. When I put across some theories from Vedas, you will appreciate it. And thereafter, we'll move to a study of scientific and Vedic perspective properties, particle properties. What is the source of the particle, then purpose of life and purpose of creation. Because both are interlinked. If the creation doesn't have purpose, then it will be very difficult to find our purpose in this creation, which has no purpose for creation or destruction. And then the one important topic I will touch upon is the purpose of life linked to my identity? And recently I wrote a book on education ecosystem, the golden eggs perspective on education ecosystem. It's available on Amazon. I will talk very briefly on the book if there is time permits. And if you can interrupt me in between if you have any like very important question to ask. Otherwise, we'll take question the last. That will be very convenient for me. So if we talk about the characteristics of a scientific mind, so the list that I'm going to present is not the complete list, but very few things that I think are very important are like scientists are very careful observer. These people observe every phenomenon very carefully and try to go to the depth of everything. And it may happen that sometimes you can explain the phenomenon with the existing knowledge, but for many things we cannot explain, but entire human society has to work together for hundreds of years to explain one single phenomenon. Many things like when we studied about science, gravitation, then the solar system, and many things like Newton's law, they're not something which came in one day or by one person. It is the contributions from many people together, and they're all careful observers. Like for example, when we were in class 12 and in the science practical lab, we used to do some experiments. So we were told to do experiments based on some predefined criteria, predefined processes, and we also had predefined results in our mind. So for example, if I'm working and doing some experiment and there's a yellow liquid in the flask and that should get converted into red liquid, and if I don't see the red liquid, I see different color blue liquid, then my teacher will say, please discard the experiment and repeat again. You may have made some mistakes. But in PhD, it doesn't allow us. And in scientific world also, it is not so. If I start with some red liquid and want to get blue liquid, but I get a yellow liquid, it may become a new discovery and new everything. So that careful observer is required. The scientists are very careful observers. And for example, everyone, if they're observing the same thing, but depending on his background, his understanding, and like his knowledge, people will think differently about the same observation. For example, if four different people, like say for example, you take a physicist, a chemist, a tourist, and a Vedantist. They all together went to a picnic, and they're looking over a ocean in front of them. Now, I don't know what they will think, but what we can say that a physicist's mind is like, he may think about the volume of the water. He may think about how much volume of the water is, what is the depth, how like breadth and length of the ocean. He may think about dimensions because he's trained in those kind of things. He may think about how the diffraction is working there, how the colors are coming up. So he may think all this. A chemist may think about that, yeah, ocean is the source of rich minerals. Many minerals are extracted from the oceans. A tourist may not think about anything else, but he may just see the scenic beauty and he can just enjoy the ocean and the tides and people around this and the stones and other things he can enjoy there. A Vedantist, on the other hand, he may look at the ocean and say that, wow, this ocean reminds me of the slokas in the Vedas, which says that Daya Sindhu means Lord is the ocean of mercy. Okay. And so different people, based on their background and understanding, may see the same object differently, but they do not fight with each other. That I feel this and you feel this. So they all cooperate with each other because everything has multi-dimension. So you can see that this example, one simple ocean has multiple dimensions to think about by people from different perspective. So they are basically careful observers. Next is like they ask questions. Asking question is not very simple thing. It is an art. and one should learn to ask question. If we can ask proper question, then half the problem is solved. So, like in general, people may ask question like, how can I secure food? How can I secure a good 2 BHK apartment to live? How can I secure a car? But for many scientists, like many people, the question would be like, how is teleportation possible? How we can deal with the COVID-19 situations? And can we insert a chip in mind or brain so that we can enhance our memory capacity or anything, like how I can control object with my gestures? So they are injecting some chips in the hand, and that can they control their opening and closing of the cars, opening and closing the gates. They can control the AC, they can control the fan with their hand movement. Sorry. So based on what is the question that we want to ask, and so Veda says that the best question that a human being should ask is Atharto Brahma Jigyasa. That means, who is the creator, who is the Brahm? So these questions should be asked by the people in the human form of life. Next, a scientist is always ready to challenge anything, and they are also ready to be challenged by others. And there should be a healthy discussion between them. And the scientist does not accept or reject an idea without proper deliberation. So they always have some valid reasons to accept or reject any idea before moving ahead. And in science experiments, both like experimental, like for example, if you go to buy any ornament, and you can check the purity of gold with a hand. You can do some experiments in labs to check the purity of some substances. But there are many experiments which are theoretical in nature. Therefore, हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा जाता है चिंतक दे like rishis, and उनको कहते थे they are very buddhijivi. They used to think a lot. So there are many experiments which are theoretical in nature. They are called thought experiments. That means they cannot be performed physically. There is no possibility of that. For example, Einstein's, like you may have heard about the twin paradox. Twin paradox means twin born, and if one is kept on the earth and other is sent in the space in a spaceship, and he moves with the light speeds, within 24 hours, if he comes back, then the one who is standing on the earth, he may have passed many years of his life and maybe have become old. But the same twin who just went the speed of light in the space and came back in 24 hours back, so that person would have just lost like 24 hours of his life. So this is a thought experiment. This cannot be performed. So like many things in the like Vedas, and the things are given there that cannot be measured and that cannot be done experimentally. So it is not like always good to ask, can you show me? Can you prove this experimentally? Can you do this? So many things in Vedas are there which are compared to thought experiments in the modern time. So both are there. And for example, black holes, and one of the example is like black holes. So Stephen Hawking, he proposed that black holes will never die. Some people say never die, but Stephen Hawking says that no, black hole will die sometimes, and it will release many gamma rays, and then that way it will die. But the thing is that there is no way to discard this theory and no way to accept this theory, because if you want to prove it and see, one will have to wait for billions of years to experiment a black hole dying and descending into gamma rays or not. So many things are there in science, and why I'm talking about this is because I'm going to connect with small thing and then move on to Vedic knowledge, and then connect both together and see that from Vedas they speak of many things which are of very high quality, and if you want to perform experiment, it is very costly and very time consuming, but if you rely those, we can save much time and money. So at the beginning, it starts with very simple question. Like, we know that any matter exists in three forms, like solid, liquid, gas, and we like study them in our classes in our schools and nursery. Nowadays they teach. My daughter is studying in nursery, and they're teaching that water can exist in three states: solid is ice cream, then liquid is the juice and water, and then gas is a vapor. So they're studying, but there are more to it. Scientists, they are studying more about it. And like properties of matter, we know solid, liquid, gas, but we also know that there is particle properties. And what particle properties means is like, and we have another wave properties. And if you talk about particle properties, so if there is a wall in front of a particle, it can bounce back. It can bounce back, and if you want to cross the barrier, it will have to have enough potential to cross the barrier. So it can either bounce back, it can get absorbed in the wall, or it can get absorbed on the wall, or climb the hill. But in no circumstances this particle can cross across the barrier. Okay, the particle properties does not tell anything about this. There's no equation. But when you talk about the wave properties, so like a wave can pass across the barrier, and that is called tunneling effect. And tunneling effect is something like based on which scanning tunneling microscope is prepared, and scientists also got their Nobel Prize in that field for like I think his name was Gerd and Henrich. They got Nobel Prize in 1986, and this scanning tunneling microscope is being used in like to study the atomic properties, surface areas, all these things. So the fact, in fact, everything that we know in nature is construction of particle. They're made of particles, and in physics there is a standard model of particle. So this talks about different kind of particles. You may have like seen this chart in Google and Wikipedia. And I'm not going to talk about all the particles, but lepton, quarks, bosons, and scalar bosons, many things are there. And they have developed this standard model. And the good, like one interesting part is like, if you say Higgs bosons, and we came across these are called the God particles. It came into news in 2013. So the Higgs boson particles were like they were discovered in proposed in 1960. But at that time, there was no way to prove or disprove its existence. But it was proposed in 1960 that something like Higgs particle exists. And but last team of people worked together, more than 50 years they worked together, and in finally they built this. You may have heard about this Large Hadron Collider. They built the Large Hadron Collider with the cost of nearly 1 billion US dollar per year, and were confirmed in 2013 Higgs particle. But the next question is that are this particle that we have in the front can explain all the phenomena that we see around us? No, they cannot explain it. And the most important question is like do we have same kind of equation to understand everything in the universe, or we have different kind of equation to understand different kind of subject matters? So I'll just touch upon this. So like football. So if we talk about the motion of football, so football motion can be explained at the macro level from the classical physics. But if you talk about the subatomic particles and the gravitation thing, it cannot be explained by the same equation. There are space-time, and the theory of relativity was proposed by Einstein. Then we have the motion electronic subatomic particles, proton, neutrons, and they are explained by quantum mechanics. And again, there is challenge that the gravitation proposed in the relativity theory, and the graviton is known as the subatomic particles that in a standard particle model. So both the equations are not the same. Okay. So now how to combine them together and understand further? So we have this gravitation is the difficult part in everything to understand how the gravitation works together. And you will know that LEGO experiment. Okay, so after 100 years after, this has been proved that what Einstein proposed was correct. But it's not like that people came to know about them instantly. It took time, it took energy, it took money, it took a lot of effort from different countries, different group of scientists. And now you understand that there is a gravitational fabric around everything, and that is affected by presence of a particle. So here you can see that it is shows that Earth is like changing how the gravitational fabric would look like, and based on that, motion of everything changes. So we have now quantum theory and the force of gravity, and then we have a string theory that is coming picture now. So scientists have a specific set of complex theories to explain phenomena of different domains. But the question is, do we have any theoretical or mathematical formula to explain life? हमारे पास से बहुत सारे पार्टिकल्स हैं, जैसे स्मॉल पार्टिकल, बिग पार्टिकल, बट क्या हमारे पास में ऐसा भी इक्वेशन है, लाइफ इज इक्वल टू एक्स प्लस वाई प्लस जेड लॉग एक्स और ई टू पावर माइनस एक्स, समथिंग लाइक दिस, जो कि हमें बता सके कि लाइफ क्या है, लाइफ क्या है बता सकता है. इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू से व्हाट इज लाइफ. अगर हमको ये मालूम चल जाए कि ऐसा कोई पार्टिकल है जो कि लाइफ पार्टिकल कही जाती है, just like a battery, तो हमने अगर if someone dies in our family, we can just inject the life particle in his body and he can come back to life. But हमारे पास में वो knowledge हमारे पास में अभी भी नहीं है कि life है क्या, कहाँ means. So the other way to look around is like, do we know the origin of life, how life originated? Today we know that we are born from our mother's womb, and like every animal is born from the animals. Like a living thing can generate living. So idea is life comes from life. Life cannot comes from a dead matter. But who was the first living entity who gave to life? Or so this is a very vague question, and like everyone is struggling to understand what was the origin of life, how the life originated. So if you know how the first life originated scientifically, of course from Vedic perspective there is different theory, but scientifically, do we know today, as of now, we know many things about space, time, relativity, everything, we know many things. But do we know about the origin of life? So there are many theories of origin of life. Like there are I will talk only the 7 major theories. I will just talk briefly on those, not too details. So there is a theory called electric spark theory. So idea here is like, if you keep some molecules and spark it with some voltage, you can get amino acids. And we know the amino acids are the backbone of life. So they propose that there may be some small molecules, and there was a spark in the sky, and that because of the spark, amino acid may have formed. But this theory doesn't tell much about what after amino acids. There are amino acids everywhere in the universe, in our life, but it doesn't mean that life can come out from that place. So that theory doesn't. Still, they are working on it, and they are trying to prove this theory works. But there are other theory like clay theory. So we know that for any reaction to happen, some catalysis is required, some surface is required, and clay theory proposed that it can have acted as a catalyst support for many reactions to happen. Then there are called deep sea vent theory. So it is proposed that maybe these amino acids may have formed in the deep ocean, and then it came out through the hydrothermal fluids that comes up, and then iron sulfur theory. Many things are associated with this deep sea vent theory. Another was the ice theory, like we know that at high temperature the small molecule can degrade. So may the ice may have help in preserving them from disintegration. So ice theory is there. But we know that our like genetic is very complex makeup. So is it the metabolism first or the gene first? So there are different views on those. So some people say that the gene is first, because without gene we cannot have any replication, we cannot have any propagation of life. So people just say that gene is first, but some say that no, but for the gene to function, many things are required. So metabolism first. So gene first, like RNA, how the RNA then say this, they say pRNA. So many theories are there regarding nucleotide theory, and then metabolism first theory, like how the small molecule like acetic acid, CO2, they got formed, and thereafter the amino acid formed, and then the metabolism system they existed, and thereafter the like RNA, DNA molecule would have formed because they are really very complex. For example, now we understand like during COVID-19, this is a small virus, right, having a specific genetic code is causing so much havoc. And just imagine that if something was there, a small thing, and it would have wiped out the entire creation. But still creation is there. And so this is very complex to understand the gene and the metabolism and still working. So another theory is like the life from space. So people are scientists are also proposing that it may have happened that this Earth is not suitable for the life, but the molecule required for the life may have come from another Earth-like place or another planet, and that molecule has survived the meteor touching the Earth, or maybe some other processes. So people are also working on life from space. So in the Bhaktivedanta Institute, when we went there, there are many people who came there, and they were talking about the life from space. They have many evidences of existence of some molecules in the space, and they propose that they may have come. And there are many meteorites that fall on the Earth, and they have analyzed those meteorites, composition उसको study किया है, and they know that कि उसमें भी कुछ molecules है, amino acids are found there. So they are proposing from. But इस सभी theory में the main question is, they are all proposing how this our DNA, RNA, or metabolism, our heart and lungs, you can say that they come together. But like, are we the same, like just a bag of bones, bag of stool, a bag of mucus and blood and bones? Is it like life is just a combination of these molecules, or combination of heart, lungs, brain? So then when a person dies, what he misses? Main time there is a small heart attack. Why can't you revive that person? So there are many questions to it. So in my view, life is not just a body or a bag full of bones, blood, and mucus, but life is much more than that, and we need to understand. So the community with this theory is that trying to explain how the complex molecules come together and give life-like symptoms. But are we just an assembled organic molecules? I feel no. So I don't agree to this idea, and therefore there will be several theories to propose, but still we do not understand what is that which defines a life, and what is that if that misses from our body, we are dead. So like, if this is the body and we combine together that particle, so this spiriton, this word is given by Dr. T.D. Singh. Dr. T.D. Singh also known as His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. So he is a PhD, and he used to talk with many scientists and talk about these properties, and I was like inspired by reading his books. So you can see this picture. This is the Dr. T.D. Singh and Sir Roger Penrose, Nobel laureate. Yeah, so he was having discussing many topics, science and spirituality and nature of reality. This one a book. So I read many of his books, and from this he coined the term like spiriton, the life particle. And so although from the Vedic perspective or scientific perspective, this common term he is using like electron, proton, neutron. So he coined the term spiriton. So scientifically, we are able to describe the property of spiriton. What spiriton is, what is that something, one thing, absence of which makes one living, and presence of something makes living, and absence of which makes one dead. So, for example, there is you cannot define what is darkness. Darkness is just the absence of light. There is a no like existence of darkness. Sometimes one can say that black holes are there which can absorb even the light particles also. But in general, we can say that darkness means absence of light, and similarly, the life means presence of this spiriton, the soul, what you call about. So, so now we understood that from the scientific perspective, we really don't have much idea about life. We are still looking for life, and I will talk about what the purpose of life, creation of this universe. I will touch upon that also. But let's look about from the Vedic perspective the properties of this particle. So, from Vedic perspective, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, so I will touch upon many slokas together and discuss on that. So, this one sloka from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, slok 23, Nahanam chindanti sasrani, Nahanam dahati pavakaha, Nachainam kledan tapo, na soseti maruta. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by wind. So it is like saying the properties of that, we can say soul or spiriton or the life particle. So this sentence may look like easy to understand, but it is talking about something which scientific world does not know much about it. We do not have much idea about it. But the Vedas are written in such a way that even a simple person can understand it very clearly. But if you want to understand it in more details, if you want to put into some equation, we know that even to understand this small Higgs boson, it took many years, 50 years of experiment. A lot of scientists were involved, and the Large Hadron Collider was built. A lot of magnets and a lot of theories, lot of supercomputers, and then they could observe this Higgs boson only for a fraction of time. So, to understand the soul, we need to understand its property, and then one need to design an experiment and do many things together. But if we accept Bhagavad Gita and we understand it, we can understand it very easily, and everyone can understand without having any knowledge of theoretical physicists. Like I also don't understand much about the theoretical physicists. I also do not understand how this Large Hadron Collider was built and what are the theories, what is this standard physics. But what I understand is the philosophy behind these theories. I just understand those philosophies, the conclusions that is there. Another properties of the soul or the life particle spirit given is acheddo ayam, adahyo ayam, akledyo asosya evacha, nityaha sarvagatra sthanur, achlo ayam sanatana. This individual soul is unbreakable, insoluble, and can neither be burned nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. Eternally same, this word is very important because in a particle model, what it suggests is that this particle can combine together and give different particles. Okay, they can combine together and form bigger particles. But here it says that this is the eternally the same. That means the life particle remains eternally the same. It does not combine together to form two, like two particles they combine together and form one particle. So like based on scientific and this theory, we also negate the many theories from some people who says that soul can get merged into the supreme soul. So I will touch upon that later. But it clearly says that it remains eternally the same. It is the same particles. It is not going to change in any form. It is not going to combine two particles, will combine together and give a bigger particle. Like two souls, they combine together and give a bigger soul with more energy and more power. No. It is unbreakable. It cannot get divided, like it is not insoluble. So if you look this statement in the terms of physics or in terms of chemistry, you will get enlightened much more time, and you feel like you are reading a physics or chemistry book rather than just a simple Bhagavad Gita text. So the soul is unbreakable, insoluble, and it also says that soul can be present everywhere. Achlo ayam sanatana. Achlo ayam sanatana. And it is present everywhere. So it present everywhere. What does this mean is that soul is present everywhere, and it expresses itself after having a suitable body. So, for example, even human being, they cannot enter the fire. But if we wear a proper dress, एक अच्छा फायर फाइटर का ड्रेस पहन के हम लोग भी फायर के अंदर घुस सकते हैं. We cannot stay in the space because there is a vacuum. हमारे अंदर जो एयर प्रेशर है, वो एयर प्रेशर की वजह से हमारे बॉडी के हर पार्ट फट जाएंगे. जैसे कि जितना एयर प्रेशर बाहर है 1 एटमॉस्फेयर प्रेशर, हमारे बॉडी के अंदर भी उतना ही प्रेशर है और दोनों बराबर हो रहा है. पर इफ यू मूव टू स्पेस, देन वी मे गेट ब्लास्ट, हमारा बॉडी फट सकता है एंड वी कैन नॉट सर्वाइव देयर. So, like if you go with a space suit, we can survive there. So by changing the suit, we can we cannot go in water and stay for longer time, because the way we breathe is different than the way species in the water they breathe. Their body is different, their breathing mechanism different. But it's not about the soul. It is talking about the body, how the body can maintain there. So even if we can maintain some kind of breathing system, we can go inside the water. So, but we cannot go and stay there for long because it is an artificial arrangement. But if you become a fish, a body of fish, we can also stay in the water. So the property of soul is that it can be present everywhere. It can be present even in the sun planet. Even in the hottest part of the sun, the soul can be present. But to express it would require to have a body which is suitable to be present on the sun planet. In the hottest part of the sun, we require different kind of body. Maybe that body is like a fire kind of thing. It is very difficult to understand, but say for example, a person goes to a marriage party and he has a speck which is like an X-ray specs. So he sees everyone with this X-ray speck. So वो क्या देखेगा? वो देखेगा कि सभी लोग का क्या है, खाली हड्डियां नजर आ रही है. Everywhere there is a bones are moving. उसमें उसको कुछ भी सुंदरता नजर नहीं आएगी. You cannot see the beauty. लोगों ने कितने सुंदर ड्रेस पहने हैं, क्या पहना, कुछ नजर नहीं आएगा. केवल उसको हड्डियां नजर आएंगी, some gold, some नजर आएंगे, उसको कुछ नजर नहीं आएगा उसको. So when you look at people, you don't see them like, अगर मेरे पास में मेरा बच्चा आता है और गोद में मेरे बैठ जाता है, तो मैं ये नहीं सोचता कि ये बच्चा आ गया है, this is the bag of stool and bag of bones and mucus. I see him as a life, not as a bag of thing. Similarly, if you don't have proper vision, we are just going to see like something like if you are sun planet, our Vedas says that there is a life, but scientifically we want to see that life cannot exist. Life cannot exist in sun planet or other planet. It means that the body that we have on the earth, that cannot sustain the environment of that place. But the soul can be present on other planet also if they have a proper body. Say for example, अगर हम भविष्य में मार्स पे घर बनाते हैं, तो आप ऐसा मत सोचिए कि हम जैसा यहाँ पे अभी टी शर्ट पहन के और जीन्स पहन के हम यहाँ घूमते हैं, वहां पे मार्स पे भी हम जीन्स और टी शर्ट और इसी तरह से हम घूमेंगे. वैसा नहीं होगा. वहां के क्लाइमेट के अनुसार हमें अपना ड्रेस बदलना पड़ेगा. जैसे कि अभी आप अगर लेह में चले जाएं, लद्दाख में चले जाएं, या फिर आप किसी बर्फीली जगह में चले जाएं, तो वहां पे आप गंजी पहन के नहीं घूम सकते. वहां पे वी विल हैव टू वेयर प्रॉपर थर्मल प्रोटेक्शन कोट्स. तो हमको वहां पर ठंड से बचने के लिए हमको थर्मल कोट चाहिए होंगी. वी नीड अ प्रॉपर ड्रेस टू वेयर एंड देन वी कैन सस्टेन देयर. हम अपने हाथ पे से बाहर निकाल कर नहीं घूम सकते. -40 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड अपने हाथ पैर बाहर निकाल कर घूमेंगे तो वी कैन हैव critical consequences. So similarly, life can be present, soul can be present everywhere, and this property is not changed, it is not burned, it cannot be dried, it is insoluble, but to express itself, it needs a proper body. So this is the meaning of this sloka. Next property is can avinasi tu tad viddhi yene sarvam idam tatam vinasam abhyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. It says another interesting property of the soul, of the life particle. This property is not available with any of the particles in the. It is not available with the lepton, quarks, or bosons. This property is not available. That which pervades the entire body. You should know, to be indestructible, no one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So it clearly says that the another property of soul is like it gives the feeling of consciousness. It gives that feeling of consciousness, that I am conscious of my body. And like people from medical background, they can say that uh, like this consciousness is because of presence of neurological phenomena. It is a part of neuro. But those person who don't who loses their limbs, they know that this limb is not working. Sometimes people get paralyzed and half their body is not working, but they're conscious of that fact that the half body is not working. So that is there. Even they may not some body is paralyzed or something happens, but they're conscious. So the property of the particle is it brings consciousness to the body. And if that is not there, our particle is not conscious. Like electron uh, doesn't give any consciousness. Proton does not give consciousness. This lepton doesn't give consciousness. Higgs particle, doesn't give any consciousness. So that particle which we are talking about, the soul which we are talking about, is a different kind of entity. And if you want to capture that by any instrument that we have today, we'll have to have some instrument which can interact with the soul particle, as we say, but it's not able to interact with the soul particle. So we do not know it. Another thing that it says is that idam sariram konteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate etad yo veti tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidha. This sloka is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, slok 2. It says that this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows his body is called the knower of the field. So the Bhagavad Gita clearly makes a distinction between the body and the knower of the body. Like, I do not say that field means, I will just explain the field. Like farmer, they know about their field. Like car driver knows about the car, how the car is functioning, and is there petrol is there or not, and then tire pressure, he knows about the tire pressures. So the word kshetra is mostly comes about the farmer and his field. So he knows about the soil condition, he knows what kind of seed can grow in this soil condition, and he knows about the climate condition and which can affect. So he knows everything about it. So the farmer and the field, they both are different. Similarly, the soul and the body is completely different. It means that the function, the feeling, the consciousness that we have is not the product or biological product of our activity. It is not the product of like anything in the body. It is completely different from the body. Just like a driver is not the part of the car, he's a different from the car. Similarly, the soul, the life particle is completely different from the body. This is the meaning of this law. And Bhagavad Gita clearly says that there is a distinction between the person and the knower, the person who knows the body and the body. So, for example, we always say that this is my hand, this is my leg. So everything we say in that language, but we we don't say that I am this hand, I am this leg, I am a mind. We always say this is a mind. So that consciousness of I and mind, this comes from this soul, and there is a property of soul, and he's completely different from the body. Next, the question is like, how does soul extends its properties to entire body? So it says that in another slok in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 and text 34, it says that yatha prakaseti ekam krishnam lokam imam rabi kshetri kshetram ksheti tha krishnam prakaseti bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. So just like sun stays at one place, but it sends out electromagnetic radiations and to different places for far away. Similarly, the soul present in the body is a small particle. It illuminates the body, but the soul illuminates the entire body, the consciousness. So although I'm using the word particle because I correlated with the particle theory, but from the Vedantic view, it's not like a particle, it's not like a gold particle or the silver particle, the iron particle. The soul is described differently from the Vedic perspective. But just to connect the theory I want to just say that we scientifically we don't have any information about something which is the conscious of itself, and something whose presence expresses consciousness through the entire body. So for example, the room which I'm sitting here, so until the room was open, it was closed, then the room was not conscious about itself. There are many things are there, but the moment I enter it, I become conscious about the room, I become conscious about the lighting, I become conscious about the fan, ACs, chair, table, everything. That consciousness, the spread consciousness, is property of the soul. And when the soul is not present, that consciousness is lost. And that is called death. But the most important part here is that in the slokas 13.3, it says that Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetresu bharata kshetra kshetragyor jnanam yattad jnanam matamama. So Bhagavad Gita says, oh son of Bharata, you should know, you should understand that I am also the knower in all the bodies, and to understand this body and its knower is called the knowledge. That is my opinion. So another complexity has arrived in understanding life. So we are talking about the individual life, but here we have some conscious that is extended to our everyone. And so Lord Krishna says that he is conscious of not one individual being, but he is conscious of entire 7 billion people, human beings, and all the species of life. Like we may have like uh, billions and billions of insects, billions of living entities on this earth, different type of species, mosquitoes and the bugs and the birds and other animals, cockroaches, and many things are there. Many species are there, which are numbers, very high numbers are there. Plants is a living entity. We see plants are more than any living creatures. Small plants, and the herbs, then the grasses, all are living creatures. So they are moving and they are non-moving creatures, and that person is like conscious of all the bodies. And what is said to be actual knowledge? So Bhagavad Gita defines what is knowledge. So knowledge means knowing this body and the knower of the body. So there are two knowers, not one. So if I know a body, so this individual soul knows the body, and also the super soul also knows about the body. So this is called knowledge. Other thing that we study, for example, I know the engineering, I know the medical, I know the commerce, I know the business, I can build an aircraft, I can build ship, I can build computer, I know codings, all these things. They are called the skills. They are called not, they are not the knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita perspective. They are called the skills, and skills we need to maintain ourselves. For example, someone may have done his PhD and is maintaining his family. Someone may not have done PhD. They may have simple done literatures, and they are managers in companies and they are maintaining their families. Somebody can become like teacher. So everyone has some kind of skills just to maintain the body. They are not called knowledge from the perspective of Bhagavad Gita or from the perspective of Lord Krishna. Knowledge means to understand the body and the knower of the body. And one who knows both the thing, they are called the person in knowledge. And therefore, many things are given Vidyada Tiviniyam, and they say that Pandita Samadarshina, Pandita Sopake, the Pandit can see the dog and the elephant and the Brahmanas all on the same plane, because he looks from the perspective of the knower of the body, not the body itself. It doesn't make the distinction. So the knowledge means to understand the body and the knower of the body. So we have two things: one is the conscious particle and one a super conscious particle within our body. Now, if we talk about the source of these particles, where from this particle comes about. So Bhagavad Gita says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, slok 7, it says, Mame vamso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mana sashta indriyani prakriti asthani kasati. So it says that we are part and parcel of the Lord Krishna, and we are struggling with the senses, which includes the mind. So basically the source is the Lord Krishna, from which comes. And another says the Sariram yad avapnoti yaccha api utkamati Ishwaraha Grihitva etani sanyati vayur gandhani vaset. And also says that after leaving one body, it quits and it accepts another body. So we can study more in details, but I'm not go much details on this topic. So we can see that scientifically we don't have much idea about the life particle of the soul, but this is from the Vedic perspective, we have a lot of information and we should accept those topics. So if we talk about the purpose of life and purpose of creation, I will take a few minutes more. How does our universe come into existence? We'll say it is Big Bang theory. And was there a purpose of Big Bang? We do not know. Did any living body control it or it was controlled? We have no idea. And what it says that this is the I just took the snapshots. It says that just before 10 to the minus 43 seconds of existence, the universe was very compact. So if you remember the structure of atoms, the atom is size is 10 to the minus 8 centimeter, and this nucleus, the electrons and quarks are. So it says that the just before the Big Bang, the entire universe that we see together, the Earth, Sun, planet, ourselves, this everything, the gigantic manifestation was packed into something much smaller than the particle you see here. Million and billions of size of a single atom, much smaller. Like if I say this, it puts me into disbelief. How is it possible that this entire creation was put into a small thing? Let us think about like a big banyan tree is packed into small seeds. So we can see that that the seed of this universe. So can it happen that there was some smaller seed and then some bigger seeds and there's a few more bigger seeds? So we don't have much idea about that. We just have idea about one big explosion. So like Lord Krishna says that I am the seed giving father of this creation. So does this mean that a small particle from where Big Bang started, that seed was given by Lord Krishna? And in another, if you look in the Vedas perspective, Brahmsita said, Yasyaika nishwasita kala matavalambya jivanti loma bilaja jagadandanatha Vishnur mahansa yajasya kala viseso govindamadi purusam tamaham bhajami. So this says that, and from Brahma Samhita, we understand that this entire creation comes about from the hair pores of the Lord Mahavishnu. So, does this mean that the small particle that came out from the Big Bang and we were able to measure the hair pores size of Mahavishnu? I don't have much idea about this. I cannot comment on this. But if I just want to correlate both this, and you may have looked at this diagram that is prepared from this, and you can see the Mahavishnu lying, and this many universes are coming from the pore holes. And the way we scientifically say that it was very small in size initially, and from it came out and it blows up and is still accelerating very high speed, and we now call it dark energy that is responsible for like expansion of the universe in the higher speed. So we need to know more from scientifically. So the best way is that we should use our scientific mind. We should read Vedas and try to correlate and understand it. And we should not reject the Vedas like saying that it is something like mythological or something like this. No, this very high class scientific theories are there. Okay. So another is like and the last topic and few points I'll touch about the purpose of life. So is my purpose of life linked to my identity? Like I'm the son of X, brother of Y, sister of Z, citizen of Z, employee of XYZ. So depending on how I choose my identity, I make my purpose in life. So for example, in Mahabharata we see that एक बार जब अर्जुन को पूछा गया तुम अपना सब परिचय दो, तो किसी ने कहा कि मैं कुंती पुत्र हूँ और मैं कुरु वंशज हूँ, किसी ने ऐसा कहा। लेकिन अर्जुन ने कहा कि मैं द्रोण शिष्य अर्जुन हूँ। उससे पूछा गया कि आपने ऐसा क्यों कहा द्रोण शिष्य अर्जुन? तो कहा कि लाइफ में व्यक्ति को केवल एक ही आइडेंटिटी रखनी चाहिए, उससे उसकी जिंदगी सरल हो जाती है। सो इफ आई वांट टू कीप वन आइडेंटिटी, व्हाट वुड आई कीप? दैट विल डिपेंड ऑन पर्सन टू पर्सन. So before purpose of life, if you look at the purpose of creation itself, So and many scientists, what they saw about the purpose of life. So scientifically, I looked into many places. There is the website Goodreads, and it has around more than 700 like quotes from different people on purpose of life. But I don't see any positive thing that talk about purpose of life. They don't say about careers and everything. So scientifically, don't have much information about the life and purpose of life. But if you look into Vedas, we have a lot of information, and from scientifically we can understand that we can easily correlate, and also understand that our science still has to go a long way to understand all the Vedic conclusion in a very uh, like to give any equations. So another perspective, like the life and the creation and the Mahavishnu and the Vedas, they're so vast that it's very difficult to put everything in a quantitative way. Therefore, our Vedas discusses them in a qualitatively. So, like Veda, what they say that Krite Dhyayato Vishnu, Tretayam Yajto Makai, Dwapare Paricharayam, Kalau Tad Hari Kirtana. So, this is my last slide, and I will stop after that. So, it says that, like, if you really want to understand what is life and what is the purpose of life, so in different times and circumstances, different kind of processes were given. Like Krite means in Satyug, it was Dhyayata Vishnu. Vishnu को ध्यान करना था. त्रेता याम यजतो में कही, यजतो मीन्स बड़े बड़े यज्ञ करना था. द्वापरे परिचर्या याम, द्वापर में जो थे बड़े बड़े मंदिरें और 64 प्रकार की सामग्री से पूजा पाठ करना था. लेकिन कलयुग में जो था ये हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र के बारे में बताई गई है. सो हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. This it is prescribed that one should chant this mantra. Now, lot can be said about this mantra and how this mantra affects our consciousness, and how like it can help us understanding the life and the purpose of life. It can be a different session altogether. So I'm not touch upon this, but from like based on the time that I have, I can just say that like we should try to understand the life and get to the bottom of it and understand our purpose of life. So once we understand our purpose of life, our all the anxieties, all the fear, everything goes away, because we understand what is life. We also understand purpose. So one who has a bigger purpose in life, say for example, someone who is looking after the UNO, and you just go and say that can you solve, I didn't get gas connection today, can you solve that? He will say that, see, I'm looking after the bigger perspective, I'm looking after the entire how the different countries are dealing together, so my purpose is very bigger. This is a very small thing. Can you talk to someone else? सिमिलरली हमारी जिंदगी में अगर पर्पस बड़े होते हैं, अगर बड़ा पर्पस हो जाता है, तो क्या होता है कि हमारी जिंदगी में छोटी छोटी परेशानी, आज मैंने खाना नहीं खाया, उसने मुझे कुछ बुरा बोल दिया, मेरा सैलरी आज नहीं आया है, हमें रात को सोया नहीं था, ये छोटी छोटी जिंदगी में जो एंजाइटी है और चीजें हैं वो चली जाती हैं, बिकॉज वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन सम बिगर पर्पस. कई बार जो साइंटिस्ट होते हैं रात को सोते नहीं. अभी जैसे कि कोविड-19 चल रही है, हम यहाँ बैठे हैं, लेकिन जो लोग वैक्सीन पे काम कर रहे हैं, अगर हम देखेंगे तो कई बार लोग कई रात सोए भी नहीं होंगे, काम करते करते वैक्सीन का निकल के बाहर आ रही है. Because it's not that easy. It usually takes in normal condition 15 to 20 years to make one vaccine and successfully try everything from all perspective. और ये एक साल के अंदर आया है. You can imagine the amount of pressure those scientists and the worker may have undergone to give the medicine in the best possible time. So it is very difficult. But the one way is that we can save our time, and if you take the Vedic perspective and understand this, so this is one process given, and we can talk more on it. This is my book on the golden eggs. I did one survey on education, and most of the thing that I discussed today is also included in this book. This book is available on Amazon, and in separate session I can talk detail about this book. So nothing from my side. Thank you very much for connecting today. I hope I'm on time. 4 minutes more extra.
Yeah, no problem, Prem. It was really a very enlightening session, and you touched upon many points actually. And I am thankful that you started with a scientific perspective. और वहां पे आपने बात की कि ऑब्जर्वेशन इज जो गुण होता है, वैज्ञानिकों का गुण है ऑब्जर्वेशन, प्रश्न करना, उस पे तर्क करना और किसी भी बात को आसानी से यूं ही नहीं मान लेना। तर्क के आधार पे फिर आप ले गए हमें ग्रॉस से माइक्रो की ओर कि भाई ग्रॉस सिस्टम कैसा है, माइक्रो सिस्टम कैसा है। एक जर्नी हुई फ्रॉम साइंस, फ्रॉम क्वांटम थ्योरी टू हमने गोता लगाया स्पिरिचुअलिटी की ओर इन लाइट ऑफ वेदास। वेदास क्या कहती हैं? और उसमें आपने बताया कि भाई एक कोई सिंपल सा इक्वेशन नहीं हो सकता है कि लाइफ इज इक्वल टू एक्स वाई जेड, कि आप उसमें डाल दें सब कुछ। एक जो महत्वपूर्ण आपने बात कही कि अ, बहुत सारे थ्योरीज हो सकते हैं, हर एक फिनोमेना को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए अलग अलग थ्योरी है। इसी तरह लाइफ जो खुद इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स है उसके लिए कोई एक थ्योरी में उसको बांधना मुश्किल होगा। फिर जो आपने बात की, उसको आत्मा कह लें या सोल कह लें, स्पिरिटॉन कह लें या लाइफ पार्टिकल। और आपने जो टीडी सिंह का जो रेफरेंस दिया, उनकी किताबों को मैं भी पढ़ा हूँ। एक अलग ही पर्सपेक्टिव है, उन्होंने डिफरेंट डिफरेंट नोबेल लॉरिएट से जाके बात किया और उनके पर्सपेक्टिव को एक स्पिरिचुअल पर्सपेक्टिव से जोड़ के प्रस्तुत करने का प्रयास किया। और आपने ये भी बताया कि आई इज नॉट माई, जो मेरा है वो मैं नहीं हूं, मैं और मेरा अलग अलग है। तो वो जो समझ है, और वो एक समझ और जो आपने बताया कि ज्ञान क्या है, ज्ञान नॉलेज एक्चुअली है, जिसको हम स्किल्स मान बैठे हैं वो सही नॉलेज नहीं है। नॉलेज है जानना, और जानना किसको, उसके दो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट लेवल हैं, एक एज ए इंडिविजुअल, एक सुपर सोल। तो ये जो आपने बताया, ये सब बातों का जो ये है। और उसके बाद पर्पस ऑफ लाइफ पे आपने बताया कि जब जब आपके जो पर्पस होंगे वो बड़े होंगे, तो ये जो छोटी छोटी समस्याएं हैं वो गौण हो जाएंगी। नौकरी नहीं है, या ये प्रॉब्लम है, या वो प्रॉब्लम है, छोटी छोटी समस्याओं को ही हम इक्वेट कर लिए, स्किल्स को इक्वेट कर लिए नॉलेज से। तो ये जो मुझे याद है कहीं पढ़ा पढ़ा था मैंने कि परा विद्या और अपरा विद्या ऐसा कुछ है कि आप जो मतलब जीविकोपार्जन के लिए करते हैं वो विद्या अलग विद्या है, और एक जो आप अपने आप को जानने के लिए करते हैं, और जो सुप्रीम सोल है वो उससे कनेक्ट करने के लिए जो विद्या का अध्ययन करते हैं वो एक अलग ये है। तो और फिर हम लोग आते आते यहाँ तक आए कि कलयुग में नाम जपा ही सबसे मुख्य मार्ग हो सकता है कृष्णा का, और कृष्णा ही उत्पत्ति के स्रोत हैं। यहाँ तक हम लोग पहुंचे। तो ये सारी बातों को आपने बहुत ही मतलब अ, शुरुआत जहाँ से की है साइंस से लेके और अध्यात्म तक आए, ये बहुत ही सुलभ तरीके से आपने किया है इसको। तो इसके लिए मैं आपका धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करता हूँ। किसी अलग सेशन में आपके बुक पे विस्तार से चर्चा करेंगे जिसमें आप एजुकेशनल इकोसिस्टम के बारे में बात करते हैं। तो और अगर मेरी कोई अपनी जिज्ञासा या प्रश्न रहेगी तो मैं उसको उठाऊंगा। अभी तो आप मतलब जो इंफॉर्मेशन दिए हैं उसको एसिमुलेट करने में भी थोड़ा समय लगेगा। तो अ, जैसा कि हम करते हैं कि प्रोग्राम के अंत में हम ये भी बताते हैं कि अगला प्रोग्राम क्या हम सोच रहे हैं। तो हमारा जो अगला प्रोग्राम होने वाला है वो वो एक्चुअली विवेकानंद के जन्म जयंती पे हम एक कार्यक्रम हम लोग करने वाले हैं। रीथिंकिंग हायर एजुकेशन इन द लाइट ऑफ स्वामी विवेकानंद फिलॉसफी। और हमारे साथ होंगे प्रोफेसर राम लखन सिंह जो कि वाइस चांसलर हैं नीलांबर पीताम्बर यूनिवर्सिटी के। और बात होगी कि कैसी व्यापक तर्क संगत शिक्षा होनी चाहिए, शिक्षा और विद्या का समन्वय कैसे होना चाहिए, और नई जो शिक्षा नीति है उसमें क्या क्या है ऐसा जो कि इन सभी बातों का ध्यान रखता है। तो इसके साथ ही मैं अ, आपको धन्यवाद ज्ञापन दूंगा। प्रेम किया जाए, और आपने हमारा मार्गदर्शन किया, और बहुत सारे लोगों को आपके विचार को सुनने का मौका मिला। हरे कृष्णा।
Thank you very much.
थैंक यू।